I don't have a lot of friends, so I want to show you guys my house. Now, I'm not a housing creator, and I don't plan on being, but I do want to just kind of talk about player housing a little bit and show off some things about my house that I really, really like. I've been so addicted to the system for the last 5 days that I've actually I didn't really do a lot of beta testing. So I'm gonna have to get back into that here shortly, but I think I've gotten housing out of my system pretty much, besides the fact that I'm making this video right now. So yeah, this is Mikasa. So nice little plot. I really wanted to add some kind of like monk themed thing, so I ended up adding a lot of like these stone Pandaren pillars. I have this kind of ceremonial bell in my backyard as well, and I have like a nice homage to the history of my Mythic Plus career when I first started back in Legion, even though that was that's when they introduced Mythic Plus, but it was when I kind of returned to the game. I remember Vault of the Wardens being one of the first dungeons I actually ended up running when I came back, and it was quite the treat. And so I've also recently added this kind of hot tub, and on top of that, I also added the kind of clipped stool seating that has been going around social media. If you actually clip stools into your different decor, you can make almost any spot a sittable location. So I'm hoping, after a raid, maybe some nights my buddies will want to come over and just do a little hot tub stream. So yeah, it's been a lot of fun just kind of messing with the yard. The only complaint that I have is that our limit on our yard space is like pretty small. I don't mean like physical space, like our yards are obviously very, very big, but given the fact that we're only allowed to have 250 items as of this Tuesday, it doesn't feel like a whole lot. So the thing that I kind of tried to do is I wanted to corner off my yard, so I have either pillars or some kind of like terrain in every corner of my yard that kind of maps out my land. But for the most part, it's pretty, it's pretty quaint. I'm gonna give myself a pat on the back. I'm pretty proud of this. The only thing that I want to do eventually is I want to end up adding like a cool like flower garden in my yard somewhere, and I definitely want like more trees. But I've been having an absolute blast. But the big thing I really want to show and talk about is the interior of my house. So let's take a look. So the idea for my house was I really wanted to have a couple of things, like a couple of themes. The first thing was I wanted it to clearly be a monk inspired house. So I wanted, monk items. So you're going to see a lot of the kind of Pandaren lampposts or fence posts. You're going to see this like giant fish, for example, like fish shrine with incense. I also wanted to lean a little bit more away from like the traditional monk green, like the very bright green, but I also wanted to move away from like the very obvious Pandaren red. And so what I ended up landing on was kind of what my favorite major city was, which was like Boralus. So I ended up going with like this very weathered green, like the sea green. And I think it actually ends up looking really, really good. So it was a combination between like monk aesthetics, Boralus aesthetics, and then I wanted to have like a lot of botany in my house, like a lot of like shrubs, greenery, etc. So one of the first things I made was a shadow box, kind of a cool little effect you can do with an additional room. You can just add a closet, you can frame it nicely, throw a bunch of plants in there, make it a nice textured wall, and it then it's like an actual kind of shadow box. So pretty cool. I ended up adding a lot of bookshelves despite me being kind of illiterate, but my favorite part about housing so far has been detailing. I love adding all these little details. Once I get the main structure of a room down, going in and adding all those like little quirky things that I think you don't notice at a quick glance, but if you really start to pick apart every detail, it's just been one of my favorite things to do, and it's where I've been for the past 5 days, not streaming, not making videos, neglecting everything in my life. I definitely need to take a shower after this, but that's a joke. I shower daily. But it's it's good. So I ended up collecting a lot of literature, and then also trying to figure out like little knickknacks to throw on the shelf, whether it's like this little tiny warglaive, this alchemy pot, scaling down one of the posts to make it look like a little urn. Just a lot of cool little things you can do with the housing system. On top of that, I really wanted to play with lighting. So having more light in some areas of my house with the windows, contrasted to maybe darker corners with like more yellow light versus the blue. Oh, one other thing I forgot to mention is there's this cool effect you can do with like the shadow box. You'll see this blue glow coming down from like the ceiling. If you come inside and peer up, you're actually going to see a window that's acting in such a way where it almost looks like there's like moonlight peeking through to give it this kind of mystical effect. I did something very similar with this kind of greenery underneath this like little greenhouse thing that I have under here. I have a bunch of windows actually on the floor shining up to give that kind of illusion of a mystical, misty glow. And then I have just a regular window in there, you know, turned sideways to make it look like it's like some kind of lights. So yeah, I ended up adding like this little loft area, which I think is like a nice little cozy. This reminds me of my grandpa's old house. He had like a loft that he had like a little library, and I loved going up there. Again, illiterate, so I couldn't read, but I would go up there and play my Game Boy on the couch in this nice quiet space. So this is kind of a little homage to Grandpa Gary. But anyways, I love this room so much. Adding things even like the Gilnean poster and this giant fish statue, I think really just tie the room together. And then one other thing you might notice is that this isn't like a normal shape. You'll notice that it's like kind of like you walk in and then it's like kind of a wall, but it juts in and then it makes like this L shape. That's because I ended up adding like walls here to create a little bit of a different dimension, because I didn't like how just square the room ended up looking. And I try to do this in a lot of my rooms where I end up like cutting corners in a way, not cutting corners, but like I literally will add a new corner or segment to the room to make it look a little bit less symmetrical. And that was a big thing I like about my house, is that it isn't symmetrical. I didn't try to like replicate, you know, I could have easily added another window to this side with curtains and another sofa with more of these trellises, and then it would look very symmetrical, but I think a little bit more boring. I wanted to add weight and dimension into my build. And again, a lot of detail, even when it comes down to like these like barrels with the shrubbery in it. I was just, oh man, I love everything about housing so far. And then finally, the lighting was a big one, adding string lights, adding these lanterns, figuring out exactly how I wanted the room to feel and look in terms of lighting was just so much fun. And what I like about housing is it's kind of the first time we're really able to showcase where we've been as players. You can not necessarily have specific items from said raid, but you can find items that can kind of resemble what that is. And some of those memorable moments for me, especially like this tier, is something like Castle Nath. Well, Castle Nath is definitely not this tier, but like having a Revendreth book, having an ethereal portal for those times I spent raiding, you know, times you spent in your class hall back in Legion, those kind of things. Like these aren't what everyone will interpret, but it's what it means to you. It's what it means to me. And that's why that's one of the reasons that I've loved housing so much, is not just being able to spend time detailing and having like a place to have your character live, but it's just those little things that are just like, man, I miss that. I miss okay, Shadowland, I don't miss Shadowlands, but like Nathri was really fun. And so as we move into kind of the next room, this is more of the centerpiece of my entire house. And so when I first envisioned my house, the thing that I really wanted to do is I wanted to make sure I had like a central room centerpiece, and I ended up landing on this giant kind of serpent statue. This is from, I think Pandarian Jewel Crafting can make this, and it's fairly big. I scaled it up a little bit, but this is only like, I don't even know what the scale is, but I think its head could touch the ceiling if I scaled it up all the way, which is kind of crazy. And so what I ended up doing is I made this a 2-story room with no like staircase inside. So everything in here is basically custom built. And so everything from the rock wall to the foliage hanging on the wall to the lighting to even the little jump puzzle that I ended up adding here. This is a jump puzzle for players to have an alternative way up, where you can kind of scale along these posts all the way around until you're on the kind of second floor here. So this is something that I did on alpha. I did like a massive jump puzzle and I posted on social media and ended up blowing up, and it got a lot of attention. I think over almost 1,000, if not over 1,000 likes, thousands and thousands and thousands of views. I really liked making the jump puzzle, but I knew that when player housing would come out, I would want to have a more kind of creative outlet to express myself in the game. And so I knew I was always going to end up having a normal house, but I wanted to incorporate jump puzzles, and this is one of the ways that I was able to do that. It's not complicated. It doesn't reward you anything, of course. It would be nice if they added a way to have like an object you can interact with to like maybe leave your name in, like a notebook, and I can then make a course where when you complete it, you can like put your name in the book. I think that would be pretty sick. But this room's coming back to this room. I wanted to incorporate a lot of like organic feeling decor, which are all of these boulders kind of making this big rock wall, incorporating it into the kind of the ground, into this fireplace. And then like, once again, generally a giant square room, but with the different like scaffolding, this kind of upper loft layer, and also this corner being like the different, like a pantry as well as like a hard wall, makes it feel again asymmetrical, which is something that I was really going for in this build. Nothing really is, I don't think I have anything really in the build that's symmetrical outside of maybe like specifically like the stools on either side of the table, but I really wanted to make sure that everything felt organic, but intentionally like not misplaced, but like intentionally placed in such a way to make it feel cozy and organic without being like chaotic, even though there's definitely some chaos in some of my builds. So yeah, detailing things like the kitchen, so much fun. There's so many like cool little things you can do, and there's definitely more I want to add that I've collected now, but I don't have the decor space to actually put it out. But everything from like these lobster dishes to like these plates of cheese and meats to these like draconic looking I don't even know what this is. There's something delicious inside, I'm gonna tell you that much. But it's been so fun. It's been so fun kind of collecting everything and making it all work out. Whether it's like the mugs or the different fruits or spice bins or crates or baskets, it's just been, oh man, it's so good. Big tip, this Pandora netting looks so good. It's literally just randomly on the wall, but like you don't think about it, but it like the texture of it just feels, man, oh, it's so good. Anyways, I have a couple more rooms to show. Not going to spend too much time, but moving back, we're going to find kind of like a storage area naturally. Just in case you don't know, I'm a brewmaster main, so having a place for all my brews felt kind of required. I wanted this to be more of like a collection, little lore about me. I used to work for a brewery, and I spent a lot of time going to different restaurants and going in different, you know, whether it's like warehouses or back rooms or storage facilities or storage places at restaurants, and seeing just piles of kegs and barrels and stuff. This is kind of what I was trying to replicate here. Kind of chaotic organization in a way. And this is kind of the place where I keep all of my different elixirs. And I definitely want to come back to this room. There's a lot more I want to do with it, but I kind of put it on the back burner because I wanted other decor that's a little bit more forefront to be, you know, executed well. And I'm out of decor limit. I'm maxed on level 5. I've used all 2050 of my decor, and so I have to wait until midnight to really flesh this out. And then moving into here, this is like my brewing ingredient room where I collect different herbs and spices, and I got like my barley and wheat and my sacks of imports, and like all my different like little shrubs. Once again, like a little homage to my night elf. Night elves were kind of my main race that I played both on druid and monk and stuff. Right now I'm on my human monk, but that's because this is my little decorator lady with her little belt on. I take this housing thing very, very seriously. So yeah, this is one of my actually favorite rooms because unlike everything else where I've been trying to keep a theme in mind, this room I got to be a little bit more expressive with when it comes to like the different kind of plants and shrubbery I get to use. It's like a little bit, like I said, like a little bit more chaotic in here. And I also like the colors that I was able to work with. We have this nice orange and purple contrast. This is known in the design world as a specific use of color, which is really fun to mess with. I had a blast doing it. So then we're gonna move back out here. Once again, out of design, out of decor budget. So these shelves are gonna be a little bare. But one thing that I do like, and I'm gonna stress this again, my favorite thing about this is just detailing. Like adding everything from the ivy to the crates, dyeing the crates, to adding the barrels and making sure they're in specific locations. And then, ooh, look at this, a second jump puzzle. So if you stand up on this like little banister here, or the railing, you can actually jump onto this one here, and then you can jump up here, and then you can sit on this little platform. Or if you want to, you can then jump to this like little beam, and then you can jump over here. And so making it, you know, making sure all of this works, not only from a design perspective and making sure it's like symmetrical, but at the same time, not really symmetrical, but also making it work like functionally as a jump puzzle was like a lot of fun to try to figure out. And so, yeah, I was having a blast with this room, adding these like, okay, when I was working on this, I had so many people come through and start giving me advice or like suggestions or helping me edit my house, which was just such a wholesome experience. But I ended up getting this into a pretty nice spot where I have these like nice stone fill-ins for underneath the stairs and on this little section of the wall to make it feel more filled in. And then one thing you may have not noticed right away is going up the stairs, actually, this wall has a lot of texture to it. And what I ended up doing is I added these stones and I turned it sideways. It's like a stone path. I turned it sideways and had it like protrude a little bit. And once again, it just adds this kind of depth that adds characteristic to the wall, along with obviously like the tapestry and the net. Just, again, creates like this nice like three-dimensional space compared to obviously like this random two-dimensional wall above. And so you're going to see this rock design replicated pretty much everywhere. But what's nice about adding these boulders to the wall as well is that it added depth to allow me to put more kind of, to plants, put down some Pandaren lanterns, some lampposts, and some more of these little like topiary things, little bushes. Yeah. And so this leads us to the top floor where I have kind of my final two rooms to showcase, which of course I had to have my lore walker area with all of my Pandaren scrolls and books and texts because I am a monk after all. But what's fun about doing these is, again, adding detail, like adding these random crates, having these overlapping rugs to make it, feel more cozy or make sure I don't get cold feet. Adding everything from like these little candles to adding this little chest that you can open up and reveal a pot of gold. To all the way up here, adding this shelving with additional boxes, crates, and ivy. Just like, oh man, it's like this. I just have so much fun doing this. I don't really know what to say. And then finally, I had like my final design over here is like my little inscription area where I practice writing my texts. And once again, standard kind of bookshelves. I wanted to showcase some things that I've collected over the years, whether it's like interesting scrolls that I've maybe inscribed myself, to this random anima seed, to the tome about the Sindori, to this box that I looted from, I think, a Darkheart Thicket, maybe? I don't remember. So yeah. And then finally, I did have a lot of green in my build, so having the complementary yellow, this very bright, vibrant yellow on these privacy screens was kind of a nice little addition. Originally, I wanted to do a jump puzzle up here, where you kind of like jump around the edge of the room, and maybe you finish like up here or something. But unfortunately, again, like I said, I'm out of decor space. So for now, we're just going to keep the privacy screen and keep this like a nice little cozy little fireplace hangout area. And then last but not least, we are face to face with our Jade Serpent head. Once again, I could have had it a lot higher. What I like about this too, was like these lanterns. You can see that they're kind of moving. They're attached to a string, which I attached to his hand, which I might have to end up moving, but they like kind of sway. And this movement is just, I like the organic feeling of these kind of objects. Anyways, though, that we're up here, kind of final little showcase is I have like a little little weapon rack. I had this nice little like tapestry that I really, really liked. I think I got this from the auction house. Just like a nice little place to like, throw my shit after a long day. And then, unfortunately, I didn't have enough space to build a bedroom. I was going to put a bedroom right here through this wall. And until I get more room space or more decor space, I can't really do anything with it. So for now, I'm going to be sleeping on the sofa. But that's okay. But yeah, adding all these like little intimate details was just so fun for me. And then once again, you're seeing that kind of replicated rock texture, having it protrude from the wall. This is a really cheap thing you can do to make your house or your room look like a little bit more 3D, three-dimensional than having this kind of flat rock. This whole thing only cost 1 decor slot, and so you can throw these all over your walls if you really want to. So yeah, and then finally, right here I added a stool so you can sit down and kind of keep an eye out on everything going on down below. One of my favorite things about housing up to this point has been how real or how alive the world feels once again. Not only am I going out and collecting all these items, I'm seeing people also collect the items. I'm going on rep quests, I'm doing old dungeon grinds, I'm doing random quest lines, I'm treasure hunting. And through all of this, I've run into so many players. And while I haven't necessarily had great, like, okay, I shouldn't say great, I didn't really interact with them as much. It was nice going out even into these really old zones and seeing it be lively with not only old players, but new players. And that's just so, so, so fun to me. That's one of my favorite things about housing as well. Beyond that, while decorating my house or hanging out in my house while I'm AFK watching YouTube or eating dinner or working on YouTube, people are stopping by. Sometimes they're guildies, sometimes they're friends, sometimes they're random neighborhood people. And even today I had someone come by who is a friend of someone who just lives in my neighborhood. And it's just it's such an intimate space now where people are coming by and just coming on in. And of course I have permission set that people can just wander into my house, but they're just such great interactions. And I don't remember the last time I've been able to sit on a game AFK, but still have like real connections with people, where over the last couple of years, I'm going to be honest, WoW has not felt like an MMO. It feels like a dungeon simulator where you're sitting in Dornegal, you're figuring out a dungeon to do, you're porting there, and that's it. And then when the dungeon ends, you hearth back to Dornegal. And the housing, despite being in like a sharded zone in a specific neighborhood, despite that, the world feels a lot more alive, whether you're in a neighborhood or you're out in the open world. And it's been so, so good. I've been having so much fun with this. Anyways, I just wanted to spend a little time ranting about my house because I don't I don't have a lot of people I can show. Now, don't get me wrong, I have people coming by and you know, chatting and stuff, like some of the people I've been running keys with and some of my guildies, but I wanted to show it on, you know, I wanted to show it to people because I've just been so obsessed with housing. Now, I will be getting back to Mythic Plus content here very shortly. I'm going to actually be jumping on beta right after I, you know, finish recording this video to do some more testing. And so definitely, if you're looking out for more Mythic, if you're looking for more Mythic Plus content, keep an eye out for that. But I hope you guys enjoyed this little housing tour, a little house tour. Housing is just so cool, man. It opened a whole new market in the WoW ecosystem. I just think it's so great. So anyways, I'd love to see your guys' houses. So if you want to join my Discord and post some pictures of your house, because I want to see them all. Anyways, I hope you're all staying happy, healthy, and I'll catch you all in the next one. Peace.